Everyone, it's Gordon Einstein. We're here for the last panel, the last and the best panel of Digital Week Online. Yes, I'm highly caffeinated, not with caffeine, but with just life, because blockchain and crypto and digital assets are the future. You can tell by the expressions of the panelists. They're into it also. Dr. Mohammed, do you feel my passion about digital assets?
Yeah, of course, sure. Hi, Jordan. Thank you for moderating this. I think the last session.
Wait, I wasn't even done yet. I was just asking, do you feel my passion? Okay, now
yes.
I'm done. Okay, so we're going to go to each speaker and we're going to do what I call the origin story, just like in the Marvel movies when we have Wolverine and we see his history with Sabretooth fighting through all the wars in history and getting up to the president. That's the origin tale. Well, each one of our speakers, they didn't just show up today. They have a vast and interesting history. They have what they're working on now and what they've done before. And just in honor of the fact that I just picked up Dr. Mohammed, I'm going to do it again. Please go ahead. Tell us about you, what you're working on, and your origin story, like a superhero. All yours.
Thank you, Jordan. Good morning, everybody, and good evening for those who are in the other part of the world. My name is Mohammed Ahmir. I'm a professor of computing and informatics. So I'm academic, and at the same time, I'm very interested into the crypto assets and blockchain technology in specific. I've been joining this since the launching of the Bitcoin, the early time, but I wasn't really into the business, but I was really following the blockchain technology and trying to see and figure out how we can implement it in our real life problems. We are here in UAE, have a great interest from the governmental level, from the enterprise, and the research centers into blockchain technologies and their applications. There are many projects and initiatives I will mention through our session, and opportunities for applying blockchain and digital assets in particular as one of the applications and use case for this technology. Thank you, Jordan, again, and I'm very excited to have a very nice discussion and panel today.
Thank you so much for joining us. You're in the UAE right now. Did I hear that correctly?
Yes, true.
Got it. I was in Dubai a couple of weeks ago, and I'm going back next week, and it's great. I have not yet explored Abu Dhabi or Sharjah. I'm looking forward to it, but I was very impressed with the country. It's very entrepreneurial. It's very nice. It's very friendly.
Most welcome. Please come soon before the summer will invade and the temperature will be high.
I'll be there on the 19th, and I'll be there on the 26th. I got actually 2 trips coming up, maybe 3. I'm going. Yeah. By the way, I'm in camp right now. I'm in a hotel room, and it's snowing outside. I feel like I'm back in Virginia, where I grew up. So it's a little deja vu. All right, I'm just going on the order of my Zoom screen. Toby, you're looking very formal and British. Tell us about yourself.
Exactly, the formal and British, just to be like that. But bumbly informal in many different ways as well. So
endearing, my friend. You're endearing.
Yeah.
I'm endeared right now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Very, very good. So I can even take off my jacket if need be. But my origin in this space, obviously I've sort of been following it since 2011, 2012 in a big way. Sadly, I never YOLO'd in as much as I probably should have done back in the day, but trying to make up for that now. But was always super fascinated by a lot of what like the early thinkers in the space were talking about. And just, I think my biggest thing was I was an addict to Fred Wilson's blog from like 2012, right? And he was talking about network theory and crypto and where it all synced up, and like I always saw it as a sort of futurist sort of where is everything going, where do the systems end up, and then in 2016 I guess my origin story sort of
actually I'm gonna pause you 1 second because I didn't know about this. Fred Wilson's blog?
Yeah, AVC. It's very, very good. He's Fred Wilson runs a VC firm called Union Square Ventures. Early investor in Twitter. he basically invested in Coinbase and a whole bunch of stuff, Blockstack and whatever. And it's just a very good read. Comes into your inbox.
It is now. I've emailed it to myself, so I can read it.
Yeah. So,
all right, go ahead, please. Thank you for that.
Need to educate you on content as well, Gordon. But effectively so I started sprouting like metal things coming out of my hands, like Wolverine in 2016, with essentially I was setting up an analyst firm. I'd been working in VC, doing another kind of analyst firm, mapping everyone in corporate VC, and wanted to focus on data science, looking at a cool area of deep tech, and just thought blockchain and crypto, just because of all the data that it was massing there, really lend itself to a data science play. And that turned out to be like a total roller coaster ride, because Ethereum had just been launched. The world went crypto mad just as we were setting up the firm, and we just scrambled around through 2016, through 2017, through 2018, met a whole cast of characters, went to Dubai, had a lot of fun, met Gordon along the way and Linda, and great to meet Dr. Mohammed. And now really doubling down. We're building a SaaS play, which we're trying to make the sort of Thomson Reuters of crypto and blockchain, very data science driven, information driven. And also we've set up a fund that we'd love to think would be like the Bridgewater of like blockchain as well.
Interesting. I like it. And you actually have claws coming out. Cool. Yeah. Linda.
I have no claws, but I do have a Genesis
You do have
block.
a spicy personality, I can tell. So, but go for it.
Well, I got to have twins born. I have a boy and a girl, and they were born in between the white paper being written and the Genesis block of the Bitcoin blockchain. So that wasn't, unfortunately, my Genesis block with blockchain. I did wait a couple of years, and it wasn't until the 2011, 2012 timeframe that I actually got engaged and purchased my first Bitcoins. I actually do have, verifiable addresses that it's not something where I'm just like, hey, look at me, I did this. It's something that is part of what I saw as a way to create a chaos hedge, to diversify, to do differently in what I saw as a system that wasn't necessarily going to meet not only my needs, but the needs of my children. And I think when you have kids, it makes you look at the world differently. And so that was, my touch point with blockchain initially. And I went through a period of time where I stopped doing what I was doing to caretake for family. That was 3.5 years, where I have to admit, I didn't even look at what was happening in the crypto space, for part of that time, because I was so dialed in to supporting my father-in-law who had Lewy bodies dementia. And interestingly, that has pulled me into some of the health tech side with blockchain implementation. And I'm working with PDH Institute, and just have some really neat things that we've been doing along those, grounds. It's just an aspect of the various verticals that blockchain is impacting. And I had the opportunity, after coming out of that caretaking timeframe with my in-laws, to connect with the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce that was headquartered out of Atlanta, Georgia. And so that was a really fun progression. You can imagine we had the Bitcoin maximalists, we had, it was just a very interesting time frame there in 2017, the whole hype cycle, everything going crazy, ICOs everywhere. And trying to have a voice of reason and a long-term perspective and educating the community. It was definitely a very interesting time. I was asked to come in as CIO and then president and CEO of the Blockchain Chamber of Commerce. And Dr. Mohammed, one of my last enjoyable travel experiences was right before the COVID timeframe. I was in Dubai, and then I was in Athens, Greece, connecting with some of our chapter presidents. And it was lovely, absolutely a phenomenal experience to get to enjoy the culture in those areas. So I have just kind of progressed, invested in multiple blockchain projects, both through tokens, and now I'm really focused on investing in companies that are dialing into using emerging technologies like blockchain, but not just blockchain, actually, tying together, IoT and AI and creating a brand new infrastructure, a universal framework of things. And so that's where I am today. I'm currently executive vice president of DFM Data Core, and I'm looking forward to helping shape some of the different verticals, including supply chain, healthcare, and others through emerging technology. And it's just a pleasure. And I know I'm doing it to help create a better future for my children and for pretty much the children of the world. That sounds like kind of facetious, but for people, right? It's not just kids in any specific demographic, but for people in general. We have an opportunity to put really strong technologies forward that can be used for bad or good. And I think the more people that we have focused on implementing them responsibly, the more benefit we're going to have for the environment, for lots of different aspects of life. So happy to be here and happy to help bring that forward.
Thank you, Linda. That was great.
Linda, you're almost welcome to come to Dubai, and wishing to see you soon, inshallah.
I look forward to being able to travel much more freely again. It's been a little bit challenging in the last year and a half. So
fun times, right? All right, so let's dive in. It's the future of digital assets. The question that always occurs to me is to what extent can we bring physical / legacy assets over, digitize them, and enable their use in this new world, or are we purely dealing with virtual assets and new asset classes? I'll kind of frame that a little bit more. To my personal point of thinking, there's this expression that software is eating the world that's been around for a while. I'd say for software to really eat the world and for really to operate the world, every physical asset, every legacy asset is going to need some kind of token handle. But is that a realistic thing? Are we going to get there? Is it something that we should get to? I guess we'll start with the doctor. I'm going in the order on the screen, but this is more of a free for all. So just take that and run with it. If I was clear.
Well, before Dr. Mohammed jumps in, I want to say, software may be eating the world, but you can't eat software. And so that's perspective we need to keep kind of a reality check with when we look at tokenization, because there still have to be those real physical assets, and that includes things that we eat. The blockchain economy, this is a really fun book. Anyway, I'll dial back into that when it's my turn to chat, but I think that's a perspective we need to kind of keep as part of our conversation.
Actually, that was interesting. Can you hold up that book so I can see what it was? I'm collecting books and blogs. Blockchain and the space economy. Are you serious? Okay. It's something else to Google.
It's by Samson Williams, and I got one of the 5 limited editions. They're NFTs that are, so I have the author's signature, and it was one of those things. I saw it when it kind of first came on the market, and I was like, you know what, that's going to be really cool. And one of my little tiny kind of token investments in the future.
Did you see I hate to say his name, but I gotta say, did you see the Beeple crap art NFT for 69 million?
There's a little craziness that is going on.
It's like, what the heck? Well, that's an interesting point. You can't eat software. I mean, we're obviously physical entities. We're not going to go in a purely virtualized world where we can survive without a physical input. Even in the Matrix, they had to feed those people. So there's going to be some physical aspect. But I guess, does everything become data enabled? Does everything become a data object? Does everything become but does it become functionally represented by, at the end of the day, so that everything lives on the blockchain or everything lives on this computational platform? So if I may, Dr. Mohammed, do you want to comment? Do you have any thoughts?
All right, sure. When we talk about the future of digital assets, we should know that they are counting on the updating of accounting standards. So, as you know, the authorities regularly working on updating the legal and regulatory framework for the digital assets. So it should be no surprise for us when we are also they should updating their accounting standards. As we look to for the future, the potential for the digital assets is enormous, with the major corporations starting to invest into crypto and even accepting them as a way of payment. We saw Tesla, many hedge funds, family investments are joining the race to invest into digital assets and crypto. However, in order for the digital assets to truly become a mechanism and a mainstream for business and the payment, their accountants and even consumers need to be better regulated, and there should be some guidelines on how to account for the digital assets. To address this need, authorities, economists need to focus on encouraging for the development of accounting and reporting systems and the standards for the digital assets. Regulation of digital assets has been one of the most debated topics when it comes to the cryptocurrencies since the launch of the Bitcoin in a decade ago, with an argument having been made both in favor of the Bitcoin and also against of the Bitcoin. For those who disagree with the regulation over digital assets, are afraid that the innovation behind the digital assets and blockchain technology will become affected under the restriction of the legal framework, which will effectively undermine the benefits of the cryptocurrency over fiat and the normal payment channels. On the other hand, the supporters of the legal or regulation look at it as it's a mean of extra trust of the individuals and institutionals, investors. It create stronger and more stable ecosystem for the crypto and the technologies and applications associated with them. It's important to notice that countries like Switzerland, for example, have already created legal framework for the digital assets, while keeping also a crypto-friendly attitude. According to the recent report, there are a number of blockchain companies in Switzerland, more than 4,800. According to the first quarter of 2020, and the top 50 of the value of the top 50 companies alone exceeded $38 billion. So this is enormous adoption.
It's amazing, right?
Exactly. But Switzerland, of course, is not the only country that is regulating the digital assets. Countries like Singapore, Malta, Estonia, Japan and China has also experienced a similar trend. Now
Gibraltar as well.
Yes, true. Now we see that for the United Arab Emirates has followed their example and experience. It is likely that other nations will also start on their own framework and custom legal framework. As we saw recently Argentina in November 2020, they have a big adoption and open the door for a nationwide discussion on the crypto assets adoptions. If you have a time, I can also give some examples on the crypto
Sure.
Initiatives here in UAE, for example, as an example of the what we have in the region. In November last year, our Securities and Commodity Authority, SCA, in United Arab Emirates has approved a legalization of regulation of digital assets, effectively recognizing them as a securities and taking the first step on the creation of a regulatory framework for the cryptocurrencies. The move comes.
Actually, I'm sorry. Let me interrupt 1 second. Should everything be a security? Is that a good thing?
This is for now. I mean, of course, the utility is it's a different topic, but for now, securities is being discussed, and I think this is a big leap, and it's a very positive for now. But of course, everything is open on discussion on the table in the future. Dubai. The UAE country continues to plan to expand its economy, and that's why it's one of the early governments who entered this race and trying to adopt these kind of technologies. While also cryptocurrencies is improving and they continue to improving themselves and growing also in popularity, and also the number of users, number of investors who are really wants to move away from the traditional assets and investing into this kind of emerging technologies. Also, the Dubai Future Foundation also published in November, again, just a few weeks after this the UAE report of the Securities and Commodities Authorities. They published a report named Tokenizing and Digital Assets, a Transformative Approach towards investment. So they are clearly announcing that the tokenization of the digital assets is a massive way and approach for investment.
Right.
And that was last year. It's also it's opened the door to explore the benefits of harvesting these kind of technologies and to improve the capitals and investments in UAE. The Prime Minister Office as well has give instructions for all the ministries to have at least one blockchain-based service and applications offered by each ministry. So that's really a big thing. The report was published also has been adopted by the World Economic Forum as well, jointly with the Dubai Future Foundation. So and also it was one of the streamline initiative under the Fourth Industrial Revolution Council that was also launched by jointly between Dubai and also the World Economic Forum.
Actually, I'm sorry. Let me pause this for a second just to get the other speakers in here. But it's fascinating, and I love Dubai. I love UAE. So there's a lot to. I think we probably need a second or separate show on that, just by itself. Toby, let me pass it to you for a moment.
Yeah.
And I wish we had more time. But so digital assets, the conversation went a little bit afield there, but it went afield in a productive way. The starting point for me was, but it's okay. Just take it wherever you want to take it. The starting place is for me. Does everything get digitized? Must everything get digitized? Is there? That seems to be the sub context, but I don't know if it's actually true. And what do you think?
I think we're at the start, right? So at the moment, like there's something to say that a lot of what the crypto space has been building has been like Bitcoin and Ethereum derivatives, right? Like for a long while, it's just like compounding in a financially interesting way. But I do think we're getting to the point now where it jumps out, and it's going to jump out very fast into the real world, right? So you've got, pretty interestingly, we were talking about NFTs at the beginning of the conversation.
Right.
One of the fastest growing blockchain projects right now are trading cards for like NBA stars, right? So that
Yes.
and that was actually set up by like the founders of CryptoKitties. So it's now a bigger industry for trading back these NBA cards than actual people trading like real cards that kids and people like Gary Vaynerchuk want to collect. And that may sound very trivial, right? Because like at the end of the day, trading cards, who cares? But like, although if you are a trading card collector, I'm sure you care a lot.
I was as a kid.
My kids care a lot. But the I think that and it's really, really, really interesting. But then I think from there, you're just getting to the really, really interesting part, right? Because you've got all these financial building blocks and things to move data and information around, which I guess is like what's being built is the first layer, right? Like with all the different blockchains being developed, all the different rails, all the different mechanisms, it's been creating a new system for information sharing. From there, we're getting to really, really interesting parts. Like I'm an advisor to a really interesting project called Materium. Like Vinay, fascinating guy. Always like he's transformed my thinking in many ways.
Definitely not controversial.
Vinay can be controversial, discussing like walking over the road, as far as I can tell. But like,
it's all about the hexayurt, right?
Yeah, it's all about the hexayurt. But
that's my favorite thing.
But but we're working on. So I've been spending quite a lot of time getting Materium, and like Vinay's got great chops, right? He was on the Ethereum founding team. He's done a whole bunch of stuff, and was deeply worried that a lot of the stuff in crypto was not touching the real world, right? And I think we can hear from Linda in a second in terms of like just like all the stuff she's been doing on the supply chain, and I think that's another layer which we can talk about. But I think what's interesting from that project, which I think can expand to like where crypto goes and touches all of the real world, is like we're working on like William Shatner collectibles and like Stradivarius violins.
You just want don't just stop there with Shatner. You just won the conference.
Exactly. Like, Star Trek, right? Where's the origin story of Star Trek and crypto, right?
Well, yeah. Oh my God! It's Captain Pike, though no one will get that reference, or maybe someone will. I don't know. Okay, go ahead.
I get Captain Pike, but I get Captain Kirk. I get, but Captain Pike maybe is an alter ego.
There was a pilot. I'm sorry, I have to go there because you opened the door. I'm sorry. There was a pilot episode of Star Trek where it did not have William Shatner, but it did have Leonard Nimoy, and it had the actor that they thought was going to be the captain, but it got replaced by Captain Kirk, and his name is Captain Pike. And nice. just take my word for it.
Good bit of trivia. I'm sure Vinay knows all about it.
Like, yeah. So, anyways, okay, I totally just hide. Anyways, you won the. It's appropriate because this is the last panel. You won the conference with your William Shatner reference. Like William Shatner is like the Chuck Norris of conferences. So go ahead.
Exactly. So William Shatner's 90th birthday is this month, and his collectibles are going to break the internet. So basically, like Vinay is working. He essentially
is that really a good thing? Because like CryptoKitties broke Ethereum, and that kind of sucked.
Yeah, but breaking the internet in a good way.
I'm just messing with you, Toby.
But probably,
it's like whenever Kim Kardashian picture comes out, they're like, it broke the internet. I'm like, no, it didn't. It just broke something else. But it broke Kanye.
Great cards. Well, anyway, I'm excited about it. And the way I look at it is like eBay for high-end goods, right? Like at the end of the day, you're gonna have like this is the use case of being able to go, and it's pretty cool. He's working on these Shatner collectibles. He's working on Stradivarius violins, and like we'll all be able to trade back and forth if you have several $1 million a Stradivarius violin, which I think will be cool. If you're in a family office, maybe in Dubai, you can trade back those Stradivarius violins Pretty cool.
Was that like a hint?
Let's
to our other panelists?
let's open the behind closed doors with Dr. Mohammed.
Okay, cool.
Go
on.
But anyway, the what I do think is from there you will get to people trading houses back and forth and fractionalized bits of houses back and forth.
Sure.
And fractionalized Uber concessions and things that, like, I think like the ownership of what is going on, you probably don't need people just to own one concrete thing over time, right? What you're going to have is like people owning 20% of a house or whatever.
Sorry, let me jump in 1 sec. So I'll give you something from just law school times. Okay. So in one of the basic classes you take in law school is property. And the first thing that they do the first day of property class is they explode the idea of ownership, and they say, okay, let's do some critical analysis of this idea and kind of what do we mean when we say ownership? And ownership is that it's really just a bundle of rights. It's like a bunch of sticks that are put together. There's the right to use, the right to
occupy. I'm going to jump in here as well.
It's all yours. Go.
It's rights and responsibilities, and that's where I think this begins to break down a little bit. Because if you have the real world responsibility for a digital asset that is a real world thing, whatever it is, a building, a car, a painting, a boat, whatever, there's some potential pain points that have to be addressed. And you can think that you can write smart contracts in such a way that there's, automatic, resolution of exceptions, but it's really easy to break and it's really easy to manipulate. And where I think there's going to be a really big opportunity is in insurance, because you're going to have to insure those tokenized assets in such a way that the potential exceptions, the issues, the tsunami that comes and wrecks the house, and you think about that when you're actually physically owning a home and you're actually physically in it. But those same responsibilities are inherent to every piece of real world physical stuff that you can tokenize. So if we
just so I understand your point, you're saying that those exceptions can't be handled with smart contracts, or it's hard to, or just I'm trying to drill.
I don't think it's possible to handle them with just smart contracts unless insurance for extraordinary exceptions is baked into the smart contract, or you'll have people being basically kicked out of their ownership just by dint of the smart contract because of an exception that is overwhelmingly large.
Interesting. And do you see the insurance itself being a smart contract, or do you see that? Because let me spell it out though. Because I think most of the things that can go wrong in real world asset ownership might be those things that can be captured by smart contract. But when you get into sort of the vague edge cases, that's when you need probably more traditional insurance. So
imagine you had fractionalized ownership of a hotel in Texas. Okay. And that hotel had variable rates on its electricity. And you just went through the whole issue that happened in Texas with the snowstorm and the ice and, all of the variable rates in the electricity. People with small homes had electric bills in the tens of thousands of dollars.
Oh, geez.
So imagine you had this hotel and it had $1 million electric bill for a 3-day time span. How do you resolve for that in fractionalized, tokenized ownership of the hotel? How do you manage that massive exception? Who would even conceptualize that pain point could happen? But that could trigger, if you don't have the capital to pay for that bill now, it could trigger a sell-off of your tokens in a way that hotel owner might, in its tokenized ownership, might not wish to have occur. So it's the exceptions that can destroy the smart contract infrastructure if there's not somehow baked in a tokenization of insurance to cover those exceptions. And I think there's a lot of people jumping into tokenized ownership that aren't taking the possibility of exceptions into consideration. And I'm coming at this from having been in the supply chain industry and looking at all of the exceptions that can occur when, you know, freight is picked up and transported over a certain space and length of time and locations by an entity, and there's the driver and the tractor trailer load, you know, all of these things. And if you don't take the exceptions into consideration, you can have a beautiful model that breaks just because of an unexpected exception. So I just put that out as a cautionary note for the industry as a whole, because if we're just getting all like jazzed and happy about we can tokenize everything, and I mean, I know a technology stack that is capable of putting a unique identifier on every person, place, thing, you know, company, country, location in the world, and having a time-space continuum relationship between those entities, so we truly can represent everything physical in the digital world. It's possible. The technology exists to do it. But if we don't take
we may be living in that world right now.
Ish.
Just a thought.
We have some work to do, but yeah, it's possible. And I think the exception management is going to be a really important part of managing this transition responsibly.
And 100%, I think it's like it's the edge cases, right? And the I think that is going to be, there's going to be multiple crises in the next wave based on and I've been working with UNN quite in depth as an advisor there, which is a fascinating insurance business using the smart contracts, and working on how we then begin going, look, how do you insure a smart contract? And then what we've been dealing with when I've been looking at a lot of these different insurance plays in the DeFi crypto space is basically what happens when there are the systemic events, right? And a lot of people in that space have been talking about, they've stress tested it for like the worst moment in 2019, but you can be pretty sure that the worst moment in 2022, late 2021 will probably be worse, given how gymongous a rally we've just had, right? So it's, yeah, I 100% agree with you, Linda.
No, you're like a real downer.
I'm not a real downer. I'm like living the bull market 100%. But I just think we've got to be prepared and assume that there will be bumps in the road, Gordon, right? Like it's not a downer. I'd say I'm a realist, right? I was just sort of echoing.
Well, downers always say they're realists.
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm always wearing my tin hat. But
listen, yeah, I'll do me, you do you. Anyways, go on.
You're the lawyer. You're meant to be the one seeing risks around everything.
Well, you know, I do these conferences, so I can take off my lawyer hat and put on my nice guy hat. So just please go on.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, you can be page turn gamekeeper, and I can be poacher, right? So
yeah. I'm looking forward to hearing Sergey's Genesis block story. I noticed he joined us. I'm not sure if we.
Sergey is kind of like the host in the background.
Oh, he just gets to. Oh man, I was looking at that, going like, I wanna know like where he's coming from on this. I haven't heard.
He's coming from Moscow.
Okay.
Sergey, are you there? Are you going to join us for the last panel? We're getting a little flexible with our format and sense of humor. I'm lying on a bed in the Kiev apartment because I got tired of sitting down all day. Sergey.
I think Sergey headed off.
But we had the disembodied voice of Digital Week Online sweetly letting us know Sergey's status. Okay, folks, digital assets. So give me 3 years out. What's the future, Doctor? Hey, here, let me put it this way. I'll even go a little further. It's 2025. This is not a low stress question. It's 2025. What does this world of digital assets look like? If we win, what does it look like?
Well, it's become very difficult now to envision the future after having, last year and this year under the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sure.
It really makes our expectation a bit challenging and difficult. But regarding the digital assets and blockchain, I think in the coming few years will have more adoption, will have more use case proving themselves, and a lot of proof of concepts comes into different parts of the world. There'll be more innovation as well into these technologies, and learning from experience and challenges and failures of some projects. Of course, blockchain and crypto asset is not a magic stick that it can solve all of our problem. It has a lot of challenge, a lot of limitation. So there are also a lot of issues regarding the privacy of the data, user privacies, the hacking, and the consumption of energy. A lot of issues comes out of this and associated with this industry. But I expect that in the coming few years, we'll have a lot of successful examples and leading innovation projects into the region.
Just real quick, Timothy, are you there? I see you joined us.
Hi, Timothy.
I have been. I've been in the waiting room for quite a while, so great to be on board.
Oh, I am not your gatekeeper.
Yeah,
how was the quarantine?
No worries. The quarantine has been quite interesting. I'm actually with some colleagues in Puerto Rico at the moment, so it's a little bit better here than it is back in New York, but definitely have had better years, I can assure you.
So he wasn't alone.
Yeah, and although the bull run has made it a lot more palatable, but yeah, I've had better uses of my time.
Got it. Do we get to see your smiling face?
It should be. Apologies, I thought the video was on already.
All good. So, Timothy, we're going to kind of do the quick version of getting you on board with this. Give us we know your name. Give us your current company, and give us the short version of how you got into blockchain and crypto.
Got it. So I'm currently with a company called, wear a few hats right now, but currently with a company called Status Group, which has been in the space for about 3 years now, and probably one of the oldest teams within the security token landscape. The original working group there was part of the first security token development back at a company called the Argon Group, which, God, that goes back to 2016 now. And so a lot of what we've been doing that is trying to build out the security token space. And I think we have been very well ahead of our times with regards to, where the technology and where the state of regulatory affairs and everything was for that market. And I've also been doing quite a lot of work with another hat on with DLT, which is building out a lot of infrastructure within the decentralized space with regards to mining assets and other parts of the overlying infrastructure to really build out the decentralized economy.
I like it. And so all three of the question I think we were offering the group, which is looking at digital assets in 2025. Put it out in your future hat. Actually, just picking up on one prior point. Yes, it's hard to predict the future now because of COVID. The comment I often make when I'm feeling reasonably clever is it seems like COVID's accelerated the future, but it's a slightly different future. It's just a strange world we're living in. It's like a slight Twilight Zone version of the original world, but it's not necessarily worse. I know that may be a little bit controversial. It's like it's maybe even better. And so something different came instead of what was planned, and it came faster. So that's my little thought that maybe that makes prediction hard, but go for it. 2025 digital assets. What do you see?
Well, to your point, I think that's certainly true. I mean, I think we've all envisioned a world where, more of a percentage of our life is spent online. And, for all of 2020, for people to be basically stuck in their homes with, the virtual world is the only contact with, other humans that's possible to them. I think it's certainly accelerated that. And we've certainly seen that in the growth of the companies and the underlying equity values of a lot of these companies have experienced. With regards to 2025, I think obviously I think this run and development that's happened as a part of it will continue on throughout this year. I mean, we're only looking at, from where we sit, a lot of really interesting projects and a lot of things that I think we're very different from the last time we saw a lot of these projects come about, where so many of them were in the infancy stages, where you had some really smart guys with some really great intentions, but little more than a white paper. And now a lot of these projects are really being built out. And we've seen where, the progress that's been made, and we see the infrastructure that's been placed. And so now people are actually building things that can actually be used beyond just, in theory and really interesting meetup chats. And I think also from the regulatory side, I think this time, last year and a half ago, you're still dealing with issues of major custody concerns and other regulatory things that made a lot of what would seem, at least in the US, a lot of relatively esoteric things, very unattainable. Now you have numerous big institutional banks that are offering custody solutions, for instance. So I think that the infrastructure is really being built up, and we're seeing some really promising things with applications and decentralized technologies that are really garnering mass support.
Interesting. And Linda, I don't think I hit you with this question. Can you jump in?
Yeah, no, happy to. And when I look at 2025, I hope to God there are more women in technology, more women on panels, more women engaged in cryptocurrency, blockchain innovation. We just need girls, women to step into this space so that we are able to have a perspective that is more balanced. And I love guys, and I mean, Toby, we've
Thank
chatted.
God.
Yeah, I'm very happily married. There has to be a balance between the genders, between countries, between, we have to be collectively coming together to make things better. And so my hope for 2025 includes that aspect. When I look at where technology,
all right, let me hijack, but in a friendly way, because I agree with you, and I struggle with this myself. How?
We are working towards encouraging women to get involved, and at the same time, we need advocates, we need supporters, we need men that are bringing them in intentionally to work on projects, to engage in the ecosystem, to participate in events, to upskill them to be better prepared and more capable. Just an open door, a helping hand, a supportive environment where you don't feel like, and I won't use that terminology, but I've been on events before where I've had women sending me messages going, "Oh my God, this is an absolute blank fest." And it's like, if that's the environment that exists and people don't feel welcome, then they're going to be like, "I guess this isn't my space." So I'd put that out to the guys: be welcoming, have an open door, be intentional about having women on your board, about having women, participate as, more than just a booth babe or a.
I think booth babes have been banned.
It feels like they should have been, but at the same time, there's women that is something that they're good at, they enjoy doing, and you don't want to say that's a bad thing for a woman to engage in. It's just that shouldn't be the only place that we see them in the industry, right? So I think that it's a joint responsibility. It's women stepping up, and it's the men that are in different aspects of the industry holding an open door and supporting the candidacy of women into roles that might have otherwise just traditionally had the expectation that it would be a man. So it's a balance. You can't open a door if someone's not willing to step. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like it's a two-way street. And so we're trying to encourage women to engage in the ecosystem, to learn about blockchain technology, to get their feet wet, to have confidence to step in. And it's not easy. And I'm not saying that we're going to be there in 2025, but I sure want to have us be closer to, really having a balanced perspective represented across the board. And gender is just a piece of that, right? Diversity comes in so many different flavors. And I think because gender is just like that base one, I'm just looking at the screen with all of you lovely gentlemen, and, I'm the only one here, and that doesn't faze me. And I've been okay with being a pioneer and the only person at the table, and 1 in 100 women, or one woman in 100 men, at events. That I'm comfortable with that, but there's other people that wouldn't be as comfortable. And so my job is to help bring women along. And I believe that you guys are the kind of gentlemen that would be opening doors to women's participation and facilitating that collaboration. And one of the things that I'm really looking forward to is the ability to have digital agency that occurs in such a way that it doesn't matter the gender of the human being that is behind the digital agent, right? You're just going to do business digital agent to digital agent, and gender isn't going to need to be playing the role that it does when it's a human being to human being, face to face. So that's a little bit of a blessing and a curse.
There's a famous New Yorker cartoon, and the first one was, on the internet no one knows your dog, and the second one was, on the internet everyone knows your dog. Right? Which is kind of like, I'm down with this digital agent kind of idea, but there's so little privacy out there. It's hard to know if we're going to gain privacy or lose privacy with what you're talking about.
And you're absolutely right. And that's why the multi-key infrastructure is one that's so important to have tied to that digital agency, because we as human beings and companies and countries, entities, need to have a way to manage the privacy of different pieces of information and different interactions very uniquely. And to have it be done securely on your behalf by a digital agent that works for you. Just think about a website, right? You have multiple subdomains that are enabled. So I, as a human being, could have my digital agent manage me in regards to my .gov, my .edu, my .social media, my .whatever. But it's all connected in a verifiable way to me. But my multi-key is structured in such a way, and obviously we don't have time for me to go into a description of the multi-key. And I would love, look up neurosciences, look up Charlie Northrup. There is change coming to the way the world works. And it is going to need to be facilitated by people who are wanting to use that technology responsibly. Because you can take any technology and you can use it to enslave people, or you can use it to free them and give them that privacy and that ownership and the ability to be in the digital world and control that space in a unique way that is still connected to a human being, right? To an entity such as a company or a country. But there's rules that need to be put into place. There's guardrails.
Sorry, I believe it or not, we kind of burnt through this hour in a very interesting.
Okay, Jordan, if you allow me to comment on Linda.
Sure.
Regarding the equity between the two genders, just tell you a little bit about our experience here in UAE. Actually, the UAE government has launched a gender equality council, which was just their responsibility is to find out where are the areas they can encourage and empower women to be in an equal position in numbers and also in the positions with the men. And from my personal observations for all the blockchain and the crypto events that I attended here in Dubai and worldwide, the woman present was really obvious and strong. Here in UAE and Dubai, most of the projects I saw the female are very active and strongly presented. So you're welcome to come in Dubai and see and work maybe as well on a certain project in the university, for example, we have launched a few years ago a blockchain research center, and I can tell you that like 90% of the staff and the experts there are female who are postgraduate doing their master on the blockchain and digital asset, and also they are preparing on the PhD. I have also a technology advisor for various blockchain and crypto assets projects, but honestly, we don't have many junior projects here in the region. One of the promising blockchain project was is Currency. Currency is particularly based in Middle East and in UAE. And I think 1/3 of the founding team was also female. So this is one of the good examples. The team is a passionate young guys from the GCC who want really to produce or introduce a genuine project within the region. They have a platform designed to designated for to address challenges in the crypto for investors and also for the widespread out of the cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies. They have what I call triple helix. They claim 3 main features. They have an exchange platform that is fully insured cryptocurrency exchange. They also have a sustainable mining operation facility using clean energy and also to reducing the carbon emissions. And also they are establishing a blockchain research center to develop a custom project for the within the region for the government and also consultation for enterprises. So this is one of the great projects I saw. It is promising. They have a female present as well. And also it is based in the Middle East. So I really wish them a great luck into their recent exchange platform they launched last month, and they are come online now in this week.
Yeah, thank you for that, Dr. Mohammed. Appreciate you sharing that.
Guys, because we're but a group, because we're on the last 5 minutes. Final words about digital assets. So, Timothy.
I would just succinctly say this is just the beginning. I think in baseball lingo, this is definitely us just walking into the stadium. So there's a lot more to come, and looking forward to the next year ahead. Cool.
Toby.
Yeah, 100%. Looking forward to walking into the stadium properly. So I think that the building blocks are getting laid in a really, really interesting way. We didn't touch on much of what's been going on DeFi and DexLand, but I think.
Well, I had a panel on that 2 hours ago, and it was fantastic. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Well, Gordon
and Sergey joined.
It was addressed many sessions actually today.
Yeah. So in this particular session, of course, your Digital Week has covered it.
It was just amazing.
Transformative, but I'm just
stunning and brave,
excited because I think we've begun laying like the building blocks of the new financial system, and like and where that is sitting, I would say, is very much just in the ability to generate consistent, reliable, interesting returns if you know what you're doing. And like I kind of feel like the jigsaw puzzle of finance is being slightly fixed by a lot of what's going on in crypto and DeFi. And there's all this potential, as much of this panel's touched on, in how it goes out to the real world. And we're fitting it all together, but there's so much cool stuff going on.
Amazing. Linda, digital assets, final word.
Yeah, Captain Pike has had his debut, and I think we're seeing Captain Kirk coming on board. And
I love you.
It's going to be a good ride.
Cool. Well, Doctor, I challenge you to beat that Star Trek reference.
Well, let's wait and see. I mean, I'm very excited for the future, and I really hope that we'll have a more of adoption into this digital assets for the future, more tokenization of a project, and especially assets like gold, oil, and real estates, and etc. And let's hope that the future will be more like having more happiness and bring more happiness for us in terms of in the economy situation, and also the open up of the freedom for traveling, and let's go back to our normal life as we used to have, and then we can at least meet in physical with our folks and colleagues instead of having this online.
I like it. All right, beautiful. Sergey, you're on mute.
Yes, I'm here back with all of you. Your session is over. I can have a conclusion. Yes, guys, looks like this world has no chances to be migrated from real world to this digital one. And I want to keep it going. That's why now this Digital Week Online is over, but we're going to another one. Keep in touch, stay with us, and see you very soon, guys. My huge pleasure to all of you, for all the participants, for all the speakers, on all distinguished guests over these 5 very interesting and hard days. So many things, so many knowledge, and so many good stuff happening here. I think all of you get inspired and get developed. It's really amazing, and we go forward. See you, see you.
All right, bye everyone. Great panel. Thank you. Appreciate it. See ya.
Thank you, Jordan. Thank you.
God bless you.
Bye, guys.